What's up guys? Today I'm in Nowa Huta, which is an area from the communist era, Soviet era, from the 1950s. It's about 20 minutes just outside of Krakow, I should say. Really interesting place. It's also home to the world's most depressing Christmas tree. I mean, look at that, it's dismal, look at it. But anyway, this place is just like the pinnacle of the Soviet era. Even Fidel Castro visited here. So we're going to do a bit of exploring, teach you some history from what I've learned in my research, and give you some interesting facts. So let's get some exploring done. So this is the main square of Nowa Huta. Most of the boulevards and the streets lead to this point. When the architects were designing the area, they wanted this to be the highest point, so each apartment's blocks got up to 6 floors, and then as it goes out it gets gradually lower and lower, the buildings. So this is the main focal point of the area. So let's take a wee walk in and see what else we can see. Now for years Nowa Huta was kind of deemed a dodgy area, especially after the Soviet Union fell. There was a lot of unemployment, just a kind of rough area. But in recent years a lot of people have been buying here. It's about 30% cheaper than the Old Town or around the central area. So there's a lot of life being brought back into the area, so it's not nearly as bad as it was back in the day. Now you'll notice the design of the buildings, they're all kind of curved and some windows look onto the other windows. This was designed deliberately, so the Soviets thought each person could see each other, what was going on through the window, if they were up to no good. And of course there was a lot of snitching back then. If anyone wasn't following the Soviet program, I should say, they were either imprisoned or worse. So Nowa Huta before the 1940s was just farmland, maybe a few small villages. And after the war, Stalin really wanted Poland to start producing steel. So he had ideas for these huge steel plants to be built, and they found Nowa Huta, or the area that was here, would be perfect. It was a large, flat area. So the farmers here were pretty much told, here's a few quid for your farms. Not much at all. But they didn't have much choice to take it, and the steel plant started getting built, and they realised they needed somewhere to accommodate all the workers. There's going to be thousands and thousands of workers, so Nowa Huta was born. And the ironic thing is, sad ironic thing, a lot of the farmers who were here originally ended up having to work in the steel plants and living in the very areas that they were removed from their own land. So it was quite an adjustment for them, who'd his family had been here for generations. The area itself, around 100,000 inhabitants, the area was built for, and a lot of people from rural Poland who were very poor came here, and this was actually a much better quality of life from what they were used to. So they flocked here, brought their families. So quite a big community actually came here to live in its glory days, if you want to call it that. The place was also designed for war, so if they were invaded, this would be a great defence point. So they'd need to come through these kind of tunnels, the enemy soldiers, and they'd be surrounded. They could have checkpoints and stuff for shooting positions and trap the enemy. And if you notice, even these huge tunnels, which are now car parks, they were deliberately built in case there was nuclear war. or just bombs coming from the sky to protect the locals. So everything here is just designed with war in mind. So another thing the Soviets did when designing Nowa Huta, they created different blocks within the neighbourhood. So each block would have around 6,000 people, and they would build a shop, restaurant, kindergarten for each block. And the reason being is so if anyone from the outside arrived, they would be recognised straight away, because if everyone's going to the same place every day or regularly, they're all going to get to know each other's faces. So if an enemy or just someone who doesn't belong there arrives, they'll be recognised straight away. And then each block, they wanted still kind of some sort of connection. So these huge boulevards, which I explained earlier, run to the main square, pass through. They actually had a tram, a cycling route, which was kind of unheard of at the time. And all this kind of design they actually stole from the Americans, which is quite ironic considering the Americans were their arch enemy. But it just shows their like open-mindedness to like use whatever it takes to like create the perfect kind of environment for their goals. Theatre Ludowy. Apologies to any Polish watching if I'm butchering that name. This place is really interesting. It's been here since 1955. It was built just to give like locals something to do, as there wasn't much here apart from a couple of restaurants. And in the 80s and 90s there was not a lot of opportunities in Nowa Huta or Poland in general, so there was quite a lot of like young people hanging about the streets and stuff. And it was in the days when they had like skinheads and punks. So the skinheads and the punks used to always meet outside like this area and like drink and fight each other and stuff. So one day the owner of the theatre came out and he was like, okay, I'll give you a job, you need to take it 100% serious, I'll even pay you, give you something to do. So they were all really interested, and he says, I really want to like, since you seemingly hate each other so much, we can do punks v the skinheads for this task. And the task was Romeo and Juliet. So say the punks were Romeo, the skinheads were Juliet, and they had to put on a play, and the play was like really successful. It was a huge hit with locals, so it was so successful they ended up doing a full tour of Germany for a year, and by the end 6 of the punks had fell in love with 6 of the skinheads. They get married, had kids together. So I thought that was quite a cool story, and it obviously goes back all the way to the 50s, this place, so it's absolutely steeped in history and it's still in use today. And also there's a banging little cafe round the back. I'm going to go around and see if it's open. It's Sunday, so not too sure. Get some cake, maybe a wee cappuccino to try and heat up. Let's go and check it out.